Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to welcome everyone to our regular school board meeting. Today is Monday, February 13, 2023, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Trish Robertson. Here. Trustee Andrew Butler.
Here.
Trustee Manuel Godina.
Here.
Vice Chairman Travis Manning.
Here.
Madam Chair Maricela Pesina.
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you may take your seats. Thank you. And at this time, Madam Clerk, if you please state the board meeting agenda postings.
Madam Chair Pesina and trustees are requesting approval of the Board of Trustees regular board meeting agenda posting for Monday, February 13th, 2023. The agenda was posted on Friday, February 10th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. The agenda was posted at these locations: the school district website and the Caldwell District office.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda notice posting reports.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve and accept the agenda postings for February 13th, 2023.
Thank you. I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussions, trustees? Hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And then our first item tonight on the agenda is information items, superintendent report. So Dr. French.
Thank you, Madam Chair and trustees. So this evening, I have several items I'd like to discuss with the board. But first, I want to talk about proposed policy 3281, gender identity and sexual orientation. We're going to take a pause on this policy, and I want to explain why. So first off, it is a proposed policy.
Whoa. I didn't do it.
It is a proposed policy. It's kind of like in baseball, it was in the minor leagues, right? It was a minor league and it hadn't been pulled up into the major leagues, but it was something that we were considering and looking at and asking for public input on. I have since learned that I've had legislators reach out and others reach out to say the state is willing to have discussions regarding this, and there's possible legislation being proposed. And with that, Madam Chair, I'd like to defer some time to Representative Brent Crane.
Okay. Yes, Representative Crane, if you may take the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the school board. My name is Brent Crane, a state representative from District 13 in Nampa. I want you guys to be aware that this issue has come to the legislature, and I want to bring you up to speed as to what is going on in the legislative process, Madam Chair. Today, the Senate Education Committee introduced legislation to deal with this issue that you guys have been wrestling with as a school board. It's not a unique issue to Caldwell School Board. It's an issue that we are facing, for other school boards are facing across the state of Idaho. And so because of that, the legislature felt like that they needed to provide some clarity and put some parameters around this issue. So there was legislation that would deal with the issue of how to handle bathrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, stuff like that in school districts. That legislation was just the first phase, which we call the print hearing. That passed unanimously out of committee today. They will schedule that for a full hearing in the Senate. I do not anticipate that it will have any issues in the Senate. It will then come to the House of Representatives, where it will, I don't believe there will be issues in the House of Representatives, and then on to the governor's desk for signature. So we believe that this issue will be dealt with, that legislation will be passed and provide guidance to districts of how to deal with these complex issues as they move forward. So if there's any questions, Madam Chair or Dr. French, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Okay, trustees, do you have any questions for Representative Crane at this time?
Representative Crane, thank you for being here tonight. I have a question. So you're telling us the process that it just got out of the Senate committee and now it goes through. Do you have a time frame where, I mean, I know that's kind of a loaded question, but do you see this happening real quick or lots of debate on it coming up in both the House and the Senate? Or I'm just curious how long this might be out there in your laps.
Certainly, trustee, Madam Chair and trustee. So it has been an issue that we have actually talked with pre-session and finally got individuals that wanted to work on this issue and were concerned about this issue together on what we call language, which is the text of the bill. Can you guys agree to this? Do you not agree to this? Is this going to work in this situation? We finally got agreement on that. So that does take some time to do. I don't serve in the Senate and they chose to start the bill in the Senate. So I can speak only to what would happen in the House. I've already talked with the chairman of the Education Committee in the House because of the situation that other districts as well as yours have been experiencing. This is something that she anticipates she will move very quickly when it reaches the House of Representatives. If I'm guessing, if you're asking, you know, we're gonna bet on when this thing's going to get through. I don't think that there's going to be a significant opposition to the legislation. They've done a pretty good job of dealing with individuals that are concerned about the legislation. I would guess in the next 2 weeks, it will probably be through the Senate and over to the House, and it will get an expedited. Chairman Yamamoto has already said this is going to move to the top of the agenda and to try to get this moved so that there's clarity and predictability for not only the citizens, but for the school boards that are having to wrestle with these type of issues. So I would hope that mid-March that this would be resolved.
Wait, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Representative Crane, thank you for coming tonight. If it hasn't, you said it's just gone to print. So is there actual verbiage that the public can go and review what is coming or what may be voted on in the Senate?
Madam Chair and Trustee Butler, yes. So they printed it today. Prior to the printing, it's not public. It's private. And so they made that official today. They printed that today. So it will be out on the state legislature's website and available for the public to look at it and be able to see exactly what the language looks like. But those that are interested in the topic, whether it's, you know, from a trustee perspective or from a citizen perspective, now need to come down to the legislative process when they announce this for a hearing and make their voice known. Do they like what the legislature has tried to come up with? Did it go far enough, or is it going to work in situations for district? And that's the type of you know, dialogue that will take place.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Representative Crane. So do you know, does the bill have a number?
Madam Chair and I'm sorry, I'm still in the rep mode. Trustee Manning, it will get assigned a bill number. I don't know. I was made aware of it late this afternoon. It was an afternoon issue that they dealt with in the Senate. And I don't know the protocol. Typically in the House, for us, it takes 24 hours for it to get a bill number. But I was told as I was walking out this evening that they were doing an evening session and trying to go ahead and get those bills out of committee up to the floor so it can get assigned to the committee that actually assigns it a bill number. So I don't have a bill number for you yet.
Sure,
but on the website, you can search, you know, it's been called, you know, the bathroom bill. That's kind of a term, or dealing with bathrooms or locker rooms. If you do a Google search or a search on the engine there of the website, it'll pull it right up.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I had a question for Superintendent French. You mentioned, Superintendent, that we're putting it on a pause, like we're pausing it. So have we had other policies that have been sitting in the proposed agenda that, you know, that haven't come to the first reading for the board, that, you know, we haven't seen it? Have we had those before?
Yeah, and I'm just take a moment. We appreciate the legislatures helping address this issue for all school districts in the state of Idaho. So, I mean, we appreciate that you'll have the discussion and that you're open to that dialogue. So thank you so much. And thanks to you and Representative Yamamoto for reaching out. We do appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, so in the past, I have, you may have not known this, but In April of 21, we had proposed policy 3085, sexual harassment. I paused it till we had better clarification, and then it came back to the board in January of 22. September of 21, we put a pause on 4210 at the facility leasing. You may not have noticed that, but we pulled it back because we needed to further clarification on what it costs to rent buildings. It still is in holding. So it won't come back until we feel like it's in a better state to receive public input on and your input. And then I pulled one called on therapy dogs. It had first come out in April of 22. It came out as 2585, then it was pulled, came back out August of 22 as 3106, then it was pulled. I know, I have, sometimes that happens. We paused it, and then it came back out in October of 22, 2585, when we had a better clarification on the legal implications of having a therapy dog in the classroom. So yes, I have done that. Okay. And that's what we're going to do here is we'll put a pause. We're going to wait and listen to what our legislators do, and then we'll have some guidance.
Okay, sounds good.
Now I have more superintendent updates.
Madam
we
Chair,
did a-
before we move on, Dr. French,
Oh,
so
sorry.
just for clarification, so will that mean that it will be pulled from that proposed policy on our agenda, so we will no longer have it on there?
You
Is that what you're
noticed
saying?
tonight, it's on pause, and you didn't see it tonight because administratively, it was in the minor leagues. It wasn't ready yet to go into the prime time, and when we learned what the legislators were doing, there was no reason to continue until we hear what they're doing and the direction that they're going to give. It changes it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, so now these are we did the school start time survey, went out to parents. We had a pretty good response. We'll send out a school start time to our staff this next week just to get an idea of their like or dislike of a possible change when secondary might start or elementary. The other update, Jewel litigation, just to update to you on Jewel litigation. We had a meeting just this past week. My understanding, and Mr. Stoll is here, you can jump in anytime, but my understanding, Jewel is not going to be able to continue operating the litigation. We were informed that they will be declaring bankruptcy. They will no longer be able to market their vapes to youth. And there will be monetary penalties that will not be covered by their bankruptcy. They'll still have to pay out their monetary obligation for marketing to youth. And we're very glad to be a part of that litigation. And there were several districts from Idaho that were on that call. So update there. They're now pursuing other vape distributors who are distributing to youth. We learned that a young person could go and purchase their vape without having to show their ID or their age, right? They could go to the website. So we're just glad because we know that's an issue for the young people. And then the other one, we had a meeting on February 8th with our Caldwell Education Association. We are discussing interest-based bargaining. We had Kathy Yamamoto come and do a training with us. So we're excited about moving that process forward. And then, okay, I'm very excited too. Kayla's going to show you this great video. Our cheer squad, well, let's have the video and then I'll give you the update on the cheer. And we'll be inviting them to a board meeting.
Go get the lights. Wow.
What, there's still more that you can. Okay, well, it stalled out there, Caleb, the video. Well, let me just go ahead and, hopefully you can watch this. So this was at state competition on Friday, this past Friday. And I'm just really proud to let you know that our cheer squad took third place in both show and stunt. And they took 5th overall in the state for cheer. And that is a great accomplishment for our girls and young men. So we have, I went to the district tournament to watch just briefly, but we have 5 young men who are on the cheer squad. That's why that girl can go so high. Because they threw her, I said to Mrs. Wilson that I gasped, but then they caught her, which was even, that was better. But anyway, we will invite this cheer squad to come next month, I hope, and then just so that you can congratulate them. And Madam Chair, that concludes my superintendent report.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and next on the agenda, we have our Caldwell High School update by our liaison, Paul Victoriano. If you'd like to come up to the podium, Paul, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and trustees. Today I'll be presenting on our cause week at Caldwell High School.
Can you state where you're from, what school you're from, Paul?
Oh, I'm from Caldwell High School. I am the ASB secretary for the school. So yeah, so basically to start off, this week is our cause week. Am I clicking? Maybe. All right. So basically what Cause Week is it's an annual thing. We're on our 17th year, I believe, so far, 12th, 17th. And it's basically where the student council picks 5 causes that we like to raise money for and support in our community, or something that we think is important at our school and where we what we believe in. So this year's causes are the Valley's Women and Valley Women and Children's Shelter. We have a community member which we're supporting for Crohn's disease, MS, Make-A-Wish Idaho, and the ISPH. So these causes we're hoping to raise money for and donate to at the end of the week, where we present a check to them and get them money to help their causes. So we started this off last Wednesday with our annual Rockathon, where we rock for 14 hours, raising money on pledges and donations. We got to sit in on a basketball game and raise money there during halftime and during each quarter. We collect donations, we raise awareness for the causes that we're supporting, and it's just a great opportunity to get us out there and rock for 14 hours and get tired.
I think I saw Mayor Wagner.
Yes, we were joined by Mayor Wagner, and it was great to see him rocking for a couple hours and helping us raise money for those causes. So what to expect this week? This week is it's an eventful week. Each week is a dress-up day based on those causes' colors, their ribbon colors, or the causes color for the company. So we have, today was purple for domestic violence. Tomorrow will be orange for multiple sclerosis. We have lavender for Crohn's disease and blue for Make-A-Wish Idaho. And then we'll have teal for our suicide prevention day. We will have a boys volleyball match, which is Buff Puff this Friday. We will do our annual Penny Wars, which is a class competition where each class has a bin, and pennies will get your class points, and silver coins and dollar bills will minus points to other classes. So it's very fun to see classes sabotage and figure out who's the winner at the end of the week. We have advisory lessons going out every Wednesday, or every day this week, except Wednesday, talking about each one of our causes. So we had a good video today on domestic violence and the cause we were supporting and we got to donate to. And we hope to carry this on. We're gonna have talks on all of the causes. Then we'll have at lunch each day, each one of those days, we're hoping to have booths where those causes and those organizations will come and talk to students if they want to and tell us more about their causes and why we're supporting them. And then at the end of the week, we'll have our Cause Week Assembly, which will go more into detail. There you go. So the assembly will consist of like our teachers' goals, anything from pie in the face on to slime to a cougar battle to dyeing hair. These goals will be reached by how much money we get from our Rockathon, our Penny Wars, and donations made from our community. So our goal for just Penny Wars in general is going to be our 2,000 goal, which is when that goal is reached, all the teacher or staff goals will be reached. And then if we surpass our last year's earnings, which was 6,272, Mayor Jeremy Wagner will actually shave his head at the assembly. And we're actually like holding a raffle to see who will do that. And so getting some more money for those causes, and the winner will get to shave his head if we surpass that goal.
Head of hair.
At this assembly, we'll also hold our Hair for Happiness, which is where students and staff get the opportunity to donate their hair to this cause, and each strand of hair will be made into a wig and will be donated to children until the age of 18 every single year. So that's a pretty big one that we've been doing for quite a long time. And then, of course, we'll be able to present those checks to our causes, which each representative will come up or accept on their behalf and get them their money.
Trustee Butler, you should have waited for that part.
Madam Chair, hair is overrated. Right, Trustee Godinez.
Right.
Okay.
Are you volunteering to shave your head next year?
We'll accept any volunteer.
Every few days for me.
Yeah, so we hope to raise or surpass our 6,272 goal as of last year, and get all those causes a good amount to support them. Let's see, I believe.
What time is the assembly on Friday?
That assembly, I believe like around noon. I could get back to you guys on the specific time. 12:24.
Okay.
There we go. And that's about it for now. And then I hope to present to you guys at the work session on how much we were able to donate to those causes and have some representatives speak on what they supported and each class's cause.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Victoriano.
And there should be video of shaving Mayor Wagner's head.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be.
That's great.
Thank you guys again.
Paul, one question for you. How can the community give to the causes?
So for community like donations, every donation will be accepted, and you can give them to your students through Penny Wars, so cash donations to sabotage other classes. At our Rockathon, we had bins out, and through our advisor, Andy Arnold, she'll be accepting any large amounts of donations, which we'll hopefully acknowledge at the assembly on their behalfs.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, by the way.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Trustees, any other comments, questions? No, we're good.
Good work.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, and next we have from Canyon Springs with the high school update is Abigail Aguirre. So Abigail, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
Good evening, trustees, Madam Chair, and Dr. French. This is our February update at Canyon. So we're having BARF week. BARF stands for Be a Real Friend. Last week we had every Canyon climb would ask their students to write a kind note to spread kindness to all of the students in the building. So it's just a way of, spreading kindness and then showing that there's good people out there. And we've had like a prompt of like, maybe Monday we'll do someone who makes you laugh. Tuesday we'll do, things like that. But we have had a lot of notes come in. We've had students write multiple. And it's nice to see how many kids are able to give kindness to other students. And then the bags that you guys see, those are the bags that everyone will be receiving tomorrow with their notes that someone has sent to them or wrote to them. And then, so tomorrow during lunch, they will receive all of their bags, and we will be putting candy and all of the stuff. We would be putting notes for them too.
That's nice.
And then we have a basketball tournament. We've recently started a 2v2 with the students. This event was live streamed by our media students. And we still have some teams going on. We're not done. There's like a lot. But yeah, I think the kids are having a lot of fun. It's mostly the boys. We have a boys team and we have a girls team. But I'm not sure. I didn't really pay attention to it, but I'm not sure who still needs to go or who doesn't. But we're watching in class, but I got really bored of it because they suck. I was looking at them, I was like, I could probably do better. But and then we have literacy night coming up this Thursday. At 5:30 to 7:30. So save that day, don't miss it. We're gonna be having treats, games, prizes, and showing off all of our students' hard work. And we have, as you see right here on the pictures, we are interviewing students and asking them why literacy is important and what it really means to them. And on literacy night, we're gonna play the video to their parents, and that way they see like what literacy means to them, and have a parent's perspective of what it means to them too. And then we're also going to have something along the lines. It's a 6-word memoir for every senior. So those are 2 examples that me and another student have made. We will be showcasing all of those during the literacy night. First, I guess me and the teacher that is organizing this have talked about how in the beginning we're going to be having all the parents sit down in the cafeteria, and then me and I guess another friend are going to introduce them to what the assembly is about, why we're doing literacy night. And then we're going to be showing and explaining what the 6-word memoir means to those students. And then these students will be receiving their 6-word memoir when they graduate. So they're able to go back and see what they did before graduating. Okay. And it's just a way of showing who they are in 6 simple words. So
that's nice. I have a question for you on the literacy night and the memoir. So I know that a lot of the parents speak Spanish, so we be having it in English and Spanish when you talk to the parents, because I know a lot of them may not speak English, but
yeah,
would you?
I don't know. That is a good question, because I don't know. I didn't think about it, and my teacher was like, "Oh yeah, because we wrote a script of what I'm going to say." And we have 2 parts. So I would, I guess, start the introduction, and my friend would be like continuing, and then we're like sharing the parts. But we didn't think about, of most parents may speak Spanish. So
Yeah.
maybe that is a good thing to talk about with the teacher and see what she thinks.
Yeah. And yeah, because that would be, that would show honor to your parents as well.
Yeah.
But, and if you need to, you can always reach out to the school district, for any help with translation or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
okay, that
Do
would
you
be
guys
great.
have any questions?
Trustees, any other questions? Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you, Abigail. Okay, and so next on the agenda, we have our consent agenda. So at this time, the board will be asked to approve all the following items by single vote unless we have a trustee who would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and considered and discussed. So at this time, I would like to ask for the approval of the consent agenda unless you need an item to be removed.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion that for approval of the consent agenda. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, trustees? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor to approve the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, consent agenda has been approved. Okay, and so at this time, we don't have any items that were pulled, so we're going to go right along to our information items. So at this time, we have our plant facility report. So Mr. Bernie.
Madam Chair, trustees. Project status update at Caldwell High School is the auditorium is scheduled to have the curtain and the hoist replaced over spring break. The stage construction and the orchestra has been completed, so that project's finished. CT FCS room, the demo has been complete and getting ready to start doing the other scopes of work. We had some graffiti at the high school. We've removed the majority. We're still waiting for some proposals to come in where the graffiti was over painted surfaces where we're going to have to do some repainting. So we're getting proposals to do some of those repairs. Syringa Middle School, the gym, the HVAC, the ductwork's complete. So we're just waiting for the main units to arrive, and then we'll be doing the remaining work once the weather gets better with the asphalt and the abatement. The boiler down in the tunnels, we had some of the steam lines burst, and we've repaired those over the Christmas break. That was, and then also the boiler, some of the motors. So we're working on those and getting those back online. So we're doing what we can to keep the heat on. Lincoln Elementary, the annex bathroom plumbing project is going out to bid. So we've seen some numbers on those. And then also another boiler issued. We had the basement flood and we had some repairs to do on that boiler as well. Sacagawea Elementary, the window blinds, the proposal's been accepted. They were taking final measurements to get all those installed over the break if they were able to get everything they needed. Indian Creek Academy, the gym heat, waiting for Easter approval. Once we get the approval, then we'll be moving forward with that project. Canyon Springs, the fence vandalism, the repairs have been completed, and we're running those numbers there and see if get any compensation, but it doesn't look that way. The boiler, it's going out. We've had to cancel school one day the last 2 weeks over the boiler being down, but it's back up and running, but it still needs some more attention. So we're having a boiler company come out and do an assessment to see what kind of shape it's really in. Also, with that being said, there's a pipe that we had to have the asbestos abated off of the pipe so we can get access to where some of it's leaking. So we're still continuing to put monies into the repair on that boiler. Vet and Buren will be over spring break. We'll be adding some new musical equipment to the play yard. So we hope to see that accomplished by the end of spring break. Questions?
All right, trustees, any questions for Mr. Bernie?
Madam Chair, I've got a question.
Yes.
So with the boiler issues at the Canyon Springs and at Lincoln, do you know if those are original boilers to those facilities? Those are, I think, our oldest
Yes.
buildings.
Those are original boilers, and that's why they are taking quite a bit of attention. Syringa also has its original boiler or second generation of boiler that we're addressing right now. They're all kind of within the same realm of attention needing to be just replaced, but it's having to replace the whole system throughout the school. So it's pretty significant on getting numbers to do that.
So for a repair like that, to replace the boiler and the HVAC or the pipes, I mean, is that like millions of dollars kind of
Yes.
thing, or hundreds of thousands, millions?
Million.
A million?
Millions, yes. Right
Wow,
around there.
okay.
Okay, any other questions, trustees?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Bernie, you say they're the original. What does original mean? What year was it?
Sorry, I don't have my 1920s, 1930s, and 20s, 40s, 47. It's,
Wow, they don't make them like they used to, huh?
no, those ones have been hanging strong. We have taken the pneumatics out of them, but still that's basically where we're at. We're still running steam and condensate. So those lines are always leaking and having pressure, and you have to make sure everything's running just right to keep them going.
And Madam Chair, trustees, and Bill Hamlin's here as well. You can verify this. This building right next door, which has a boiler, it was in 1906. The building next door, the Lincoln and Canyon Springs were 1940. And then Syringa, 1957. So it's probably older than most people. Yeah, sitting up here. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? We good?
Okay, thank you, Bernie. We appreciate your update. Thank you very much. Okay, and the next information item is just a CFEO financial update. And I think it's just, it's listed on in our board docs, and also if you'd like to take a look at that, that would be on the cfeo.org website as well. So, and CFEO stands for Caldwell Foundation of Educational Opportunities, just to clarify that. And then we have our Caldwell School District calendar and important dates. That is also just on there for information only. Parents can look at that and see when we have important events going on with the Caldwell School District. So that is also posted on our board docs, and it's a continuation. It's posted every time on the board docs. So, okay. And is there anything else on those, Dr. French, on the information update that we needed? Are we good with that?
We're good with that.
Okay. All right. So now the next item that we have tonight is our patron input. And so we would, let me read just what our rules and protocol for public input. The public comment period will be limited to 45 minutes unless extended by a motion and a vote of the board. The names will be called in order appearing on the request to participate form. And should a large number of the public wish to speak on the same issue or topic, members of the public are encouraged to select a representative or representatives to summarize their position. Please come forward to the podium and address the board. Please state your name and the city of residence for the record. Each person will have the floor for a maximum of 3 minutes. The vice chair trustee, I think it's trustee Butler, will give you a 2-minute warning and a 1-minute warning, and then the time is up by when they show the cards. So please do not exceed your time limit. We're going to try and get as much public input as we can. And also please no applause or catcalling during or after presentation. Please do not personally attack or address board members, district administrators, district staff, or audience members. If you would like to provide the board with more information than time permits, please reduce your concerns to a written form, and you may visit the Caldwell School Public Comments section on the district website. The written comments, the form, I believe, asks for your name, address, and phone number. So it will be on the website. If you have problems accessing that, the comment section, you can always call the district office and we can help you with that. Also, please we just want you to be respectful. So at this time, I have a list of folks and we will start with Lynette Barfus. Is that correct? And then the topic agenda and item, you listed 3128, but I believe it was 3281. Is that correct? Okay. And then you have 4015. So we have Lynette, come on up. And please state your name and your city that you reside in.
My name is Lynette and I live in Caldwell.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry. Is the mic on? There's a button. It should be green.
It's okay.
There we go. Okay.
All right. My name is Lynette and I live in Caldwell. I am my daughter goes there. And I wanted to talk some about 3281. And I just think I oppose a student choosing which locker room and restroom they want to use based on their gender identity, gender expression. These are sex-separated spaces and should remain as such based on a student's biological sex. Should any student, transgender, non-binary, or others ask for any exceptions, they should be allowed to access a private restroom or changing area where they can change alone and not have to be in the presence of other students, or be allowed to use the restroom or locker room that matches their biological sex alone for a reasonable amount of time. Under no circumstances is it appropriate to have biological females and males sharing restrooms and locker rooms regardless of a student's gender identity and gender expression. Our bodies are sacred and private, and I beg you to protect the innocence and privacy of children by not exposing them prematurely to situations where they are very likely to be seen without clothing or clothing by members of the opposite sex. To see members of the opposite sex without clothing, they are too young to be forced into a scenario and to have their privacy forcibly violated and their innocence taken away in order to accommodate a request by a student that can easily be solved by offering them a private space. Anything less is a failure of the adults who are responsible to provide safety, privacy, and protection. Many will argue that this is isolating and puts a target on the backs of transgender students. I argue that they are simply claiming isolation and transphobia rather than respecting the rights to privacy of others. The only win-win solution is to continue to provide sex-separated spaces and private spaces for those who want or need it. I beg you to not to be deceived. Do not be lured by those in favor of sharing these spaces. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Okay, and the next person I have is Stephanie Anderson. And it looks like topic is gender policy.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Anderson and I am a Caldwell resident and very excited to speak with you this evening. This is in response to line 5.3 of policy 3281, which states intentional and persistent refusal to use the name and gender by which the student identifies as a violation of this policy and may subject an employee to discipline. The First Amendment protects us from compulsory speech, and the great teachers and staff of Caldwell School District should not be forced to use names and pronouns that are not on a student's legal documentation. The First Amendment protects us from compelled speech, and we cannot yield to pressure from those claiming to be victims of hate speech if their preferred names and pronouns are not used. This is an excuse to control our language and for validation of their feelings. I am not opposed to kindness, courtesy, and respect for all, but I am strongly opposed to policies that violate freedom of speech, and I am opposed to any policy that forces someone to use any word, whether it is a name, a pronoun, noun, verb, adjective, etc. Words should never be used by coercion ever. And students have certain held religious beliefs, and they are exempt from being forced to salute the flag and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And there are already precedents for this very issue. Freedom of speech goes both ways. The First Amendment protects us from being forced to say any word we don't want to say or that violates our morals and beliefs. And teachers should not be dictated to use a student's preferred name or pronoun, even if it's what the student feels best matches their identity and expression. If a teacher wishes to call a student by their requested name and pronoun, they should not be punished for doing so. But a teacher should not be forced to use these pronouns and names other than what is on a student's legal documentation. Such coercion is coming from those who want to control you and your perception of them and what you call them, and it does nothing more than give them the validation they're looking for. And what's the harm, you ask? It's just like a student asking to be called by a nickname. This is false and just an excuse to justify controlling another person's language, and it fuels the obsession and preoccupation with an identity that is false. And if nurtured and embraced and validated, it will lead the student to feeling they need to take more extreme, irreversible measures to alter their bodies to match this identity that they so seek. These children will be more likely to medically transition later on, taking hormones that will rob them of their procreative powers, the most sacred and powerful thing that our human bodies can do. Disrupting the body with surgeries and hormones puts people on a lifelong path of extreme and lifelong dependency on the medical system for drugs and treatments for complications associated with a gender transition, such as early onset osteoporosis, infection, and even cancers. Not to mention the mental health services they will need throughout their lives. And our teachers should not be burdened with having any influence on a student and their gender. We cannot be part of the domino effect that will happen over the course of a transgender student's life by adding validation by using preferred names and pronouns. Far-fetched and extreme, you might say. Well, if you burden teachers to embrace this delusion now while they are young by simply using their preferred pronouns and names, who will stop these kids from more extreme measures and surgeries and hormone therapies when they are older? It will be too late. They will already feel like the teacher had their back and had plenty of trusted adults validating them. But fast forward a few years and those teachers will be long gone, and they will be dealing with the irreversible consequences of their transition alone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And next we have, let's see, Jim Holler. Hollis, okay, I can't read that, okay. All right, sir. Okay.
Jim Hollis, I live in Caldwell, lifelong resident, went to 4th and 5th grade here. My kids graduated from Caldwell High School, one of them top 10, and I'm very disappointed in some things. So my first thing I'm going to address is 4105. If you're going to put out a policy like that, I suggest you get it to a legal firm, because in there you state that people will be arrested for a misdemeanor. Why don't you include the state code, city ordinance, or whatever when you make those kind of threats? Because that old paragraph was taken as a threat. So maybe you ought to list in there or have somebody review it and state what state statutes or city ordinances you're referring to, instead of saying they'll be charged with a misdemeanor. Just a big white thing. Then on 3281, the biggest opposition I have is the secrecy from parents. We're supposed to be in this together as parents to raise our children effectively. Let's just put it this way. It wouldn't take the school district to tell me my kid wasn't academically eligible for a sport. I would handle that myself. I think some parents need to stand up, participate in their children's education, and we wouldn't be here at this point. To keep those kind of things a secret is totally wrong. I'm the kind of parent, and I know hundreds of others, I want to be involved in my child's education from start to finish. And I'm very proud to say that we own a pharmacy and my kids are pharmacists. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and our next patron is Melissa Blevins. Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board of Trustees, for hearing what I have to say. I'm glad that you're putting this policy on pause for the moment, and I hope that you will consider this information as well. I would just like to say that I'm a parent residing in the Caldwell School District. I would like to begin by quoting from the Idaho Statute 33-1608, titled Family Life and Sex Education Legislative Policy. The legislature of the state of Idaho believes that the primary responsibility for family life and sex education, including moral responsibility, rests upon the home and the church, and the schools can only complement and supplement those standards which are established in the family. The proposed policies in 3281 not only steps over parents' heads, but seems to want to evade parents as much as possible. And it is unconstitutional. I also want to just give you some information on the long-term effects of transitioning. The part of the human brain that allows us to reason is not fully developed until age 24. We can't allow to lead kids down a path where they are making permanent decisions that they don't have the capacity to understand the repercussions. If we all truly care about kids, then you will help us to protect them from a future that includes several surgeries, puberty blockers that stunt critical brain development, and to have to take synthetic man-made hormones that inevitably lead to cancer. We will protect their future when studies that have shown that medical transition improves their mental health have all been retracted, and that suicide rates for them are highest 7 to 10 years after transitioning. Please help us protect them instead of us feeling like we have to protect them from their schools. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and next we have Patricia Daniels.
Good evening to the board, and thank you for having us tonight. So I will be addressing the proposal that you have is 3281. And my voice tonight is for the ones that they can speak for themselves.
I think the mic is off, maybe there's a button. There you go, but no.
Hello.
Now it's on.
Sorry. I'm here. All right. I live in Caldwell, and my name is Patricia Daniels. So, as I said, my voice tonight is for the ones that they can speak for themselves, our kids. Some of them, if you can just ever think, they probably, the only thing that they have is the school. They think that they can just guarantee them to be fed, to be educated, and to be protected, right? So we are talking about that, the protection of our kids, not the indoctrination, putting in their heads and accept that today is okay to use the bathrooms the way that they feel like it. Boys going to a girls and girls going to a boys bathroom. That is an abomination on my side. And what's going to happen tomorrow if today is that? We as a grown-ups, as a parents, should advocate for our kids, the future of our country. What you guys trying to portray with this proposal, the policy 3281, is a violation of the right of the ones that they wanted to live normal. Now you're under kind of normal. With this policy, what are we doing? Are we playing God? One day, we're all gonna be facing him, and it's gonna be a little too late for that, the damage that's gonna be already done. Only two sex, male and female, don't, come to us and trying to intimidate us and force us to accept this indoctrination, not only to our kids, but us, our privacy, rights, and constitutional rights be upheld. Education should be academic and factual. The agenda being perpetrated in the schools through indoctrination and education within such policies. There is secrecy from parents as well. It is about violation of a free speech, freedom of religion, and privacy rights. Indoctrination forces social change, and child exploitation must not be tolerated. Is that it? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay, and let's see, next we have Rebecca Johnson. Okay. If you could please state your name and the city you reside in.
Yes, Madam Chair and trustees, my name is Rebecca Johnson and I live in Nampa. I am speaking on behalf of 3281 about the bathrooms and locker rooms with the opposite sex, and also 4105 public not being able to have a say. I am very against public not being able to have a say at all. I'm very against in the future of all of our children. I speak on behalf of my own and all children. As a mother, we have to be able to have a say in what is going on in our schools. We have to be able to be a part of our children's school. We need to know what is going on, and finding out that things are being done behind our back is not okay. With this being that public does not have any say, that's also parents. With the bathrooms and locker rooms, this is very confusing to our children, and with them not even being allowed to even have a say of what they want and what they are comfortable with. We have hormones that are going on in these ages that they do not need more confusion going on in them. Young girls do not need to be exposed to different things, whether there is somebody that decides to completely change all their body parts or not. In a locker room, if you have somebody in there that is in the opposite sex, in the locker room, they are being completely exposed to things that many, many parents protect their children from not seeing. And schools are supposed to be a protective area. They are supposed to be safe for our children. We are supposed to know that our children are safe, and we are trusting you with our children when we put them in your hands in a school. And above all, this is not constitutional at all. This is against the First Amendment, and that is not allowed. Young girls and young boys, when they go through different things in their life, whether even rape or molestation, it makes things very confusing for them. And adding more confusion into their lives with this when they're already hurting and they're already trying to figure out what is going on, it's not okay. We trust you to be there for our children, not to be behind our backs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and next we have Dana Stuck.
I'll yield my time. I agree with the other people.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And then the next person on here. Sheila, maybe? Sheila?
Ford.
Okay.
Doctor's signature.
Yeah. Can you read your signature? Thank you. And if you could state your name and where you reside.
My name is Sheila Ford, Caldwell. You work for parents who send their children to school to learn subjects useful to further their ambitions in a job or career. They are not there to learn attitudes that may contradict what their parents teach them. The people of Idaho, in creating instruments of government that serve them, do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies so created. Title 74-20 Idaho Code. We parents and grandparents in Caldwell School District do not want our children's and the overwhelming majority of student safety and comfort endangered for the sake of a tiny fraction of % of the students who have a mental problem. Last school board meeting, a report was given on reading proficiency goals from 61% to 69%, saying that the 32% to 49% proficiency achieved presented an opportunity to teach comprehension and other reading skills more effectively. Actually, it presents a responsibility to do so. Less than average is not a goal, it is a starting point. We're sure that Caldwell biology classes teach the truth that DNA determines one's genetic characteristics. You are contradicting that truth with the lie that people can defy their DNA and choose to be whatever they want. Do what the parents for whom you work want. Discard this ridiculous social manipulation policy. Concentrate on academics. You may be aware that today at the Capitol, Satanists held a rally in favor of so-called gender-altering surgery. What does it mean that this is something that Satanists support? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, and the next person that we have is Alex. There's an Alex. I don't know Morashko, maybe from Star.
I believe Alex left the room.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. All right, so then the next person, I'm so sorry. Is it Frank Allen, maybe? Yeah, 1903 North Illinois. No, okay. Okay. The next person I have is Daryl Ford. Okay, if you'd like to come up, sir. And just state your name and the city you reside in, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daryl Ford. I live in Caldwell, and my grandchildren live in the school district and go there. And I'm very concerned about how they can, what kind of learning they're getting, what kind of teaching they're getting from the schools. And I'm very worried that the time that it takes to teach a kid, that some of it is being interrupted by this policy that's coming up. I think that people should be able to ask the parents if they can talk to their children about something like this. You wouldn't be able to talk to my children about these things. It's not acceptable. And they have to go to church on Sunday. They're going to church on Sunday. It's not that they actually have to, but they enjoy being there. And this is very contradictory to what they're learning. And also, I feel cheated if you're not trying to teach our kids to get A's and B's, to have very good, exceptional teaching, and holding them back, dumbing them down to a average is not acceptable to me. Teaching the kids to an outcome that's see what happens when you get old. To an outcome that's equitable is not really acceptable. You should be teaching to an outcome that's equality, that's done on an equality basis. Equitable means that they all leave at the same level. We need to have kids that soar so they can do like I did, get to work on space shuttles and stuff, you know. What an adventure for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your service. Thank you. Okay, next on our list is Verita Aguilar.
Oh, that's funny.
If you'd like to state your name, I apologize if I said that incorrectly.
Okay, my name is Jarita Ajero. And I am representing 9 people. So I'm going to try and read their handwriting as best as I can. Can you all hear me? Okay, yes. Do I start now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We shouldn't even be talking about this. Kids need to be kids. Our children are a blessing. Please vote no for Agenda 3281. And all 9 people say no to this. Maybe you could have a unisex bathroom, understanding some of the old schools don't have the room for them. Our children have the right to learn and to relax and enjoy school. Our job is to make them to feel safe and loved and cared for, to feel secure, to know that they can depend on us no matter what. Our job is to support our children's development, not dealing with bathroom issues. If you have male parts, you go to the boys' room. If you have girl parts, you go to the girls' room, and they just need to deal with it. We shouldn't have to rearrange our children's lives for the issues of transgender or any other issues like this. We need to focus on education to catch up on the world's learning, to help the transgender and others to understand what's going on in their lives, and to help them any way we can, to help them to love and to trust in their identity of who and what they are born with. For our students, knowing no matter what, we are here to teach, to help them to be safe, to develop careers in them, to doctors, lawyers, community helpers, and confusion of whether they're a he, she, or an it. Stop pampering the whiny people and help them to take steps to become self-worthy, good adults. And my goodness, let's all work together for good education, common sense, values, and morals. Our students will grow and to be beautiful in their journey of life. Students don't need to share bathroom lockers or girl sports. It makes it tough, or make tough kids. Can't read the writing, sorry. I think what they're trying to say is help the children be tough for a tough life, so that we have a good generation that can't deal with rejections, that they fall apart and they need medications from anxiety and depressions, and transgender might go through this. They can't keep a job because they're afraid of being who they are. So there's so many lies out there for our young kids to making the surgeries and the medical issues and stuff. They need to wait till they're adult before they can make a decision whether they want to be a he or a she, and or whatever. But we need love and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay, next we have Kyle. Let me say Adjero. I'm hoping to say that right. Adjero.
Morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Ajero. I'm here in Caldwell. As far as 3281 goes, everybody here is as far as you know, is pretty well against it. So I'm not going to talk anything about that right now. So my problem is with 4105, basically saying that you guys don't want any, and girls don't want any public input on further issues. My thoughts is on the public issues, the public needs to be involved. Caldwell Schools is a public school. The public, the parents, everybody needs to be involved in what the kids are learning. And I think it all really started not just in the schools, districts, but I think it really mainly started above the school districts, and the state needs to get involved and kind of start dealing with some of these. And the biggest thing is school boards technically work for the public and not the government. We, the parents, elect you guys, and it should be at that. If you have any more questions, my name and number, everything is already on websites and everything. So after that, let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, the next person that we have is Aspen Morrow.
Hi, my name is Aspen Morrow. I'm a Caldwell taxpayer. I oversee one of the largest mental health clinics in Caldwell and Canyon County. I also help people internationally through best-selling books. I can't believe I'm here today. I haven't had a day off in 2 weeks. So thank you for tabling this topic, but I want to speak briefly on 3525 F2 immunization exemptions. I didn't have time to read through everything. However, I just want to have it noted that as a parent of a vaccine injured child who almost died, all exemptions must always remain in place. Religious and medical. Forced immunizations could kill many of the children that I see at our clinic. Briefly addressing 2310 on nutrition education, I would like to bring up a topic of epigenetic nutrition research on links of mental health, mental illness, and nutrition, and the link between them, and orthomolecular education to be included. We could not only prevent the mental health epidemic, we know the fixes. Just like scurvy is cured by vitamin C, we can prevent suicide. It is not just a topic related to 3281. Suicide is preventable. It is a very, very hangry brain at its root. It is not about bathrooms. So leading into 3281, I and my team of professionals, licensed and unlicensed both, lay people, community workers, peer support workers, case managers, community behavioral rehab specialists, we are the ones who know all the secrets that the children have been asking, I need a counselor. They tell you the reasons why they are telling you, but they tell us a lot of their secrets. And in the past 3 years, I have not seen anything like the stories that are coming from forced masking to people who had had their hands clamped over their mouths in rapes. You cannot know anything through policy. We are frontline. We were the only mental health clinic open for face-to-face or mask-to-mask or mask-to-face or face-to-shield, honoring and respecting and loving one another.
Thank you, ma'am. I
Thank you
appreciate your.
very much.
The next person we have is Albert. I'm not gonna, I can't read that, but Albert from
Grothy.
West Data. Grody.
So my name's Albert Grothy. I live in Meridian. I'm a Treasure Valley resident and taxpayer. I have 2 children, a girl and a boy. That is it. Bill 3281, LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning it is a sexual preference. Why are we trying to implement sexual preference at a school anyways? Maybe the Caldwell School District needs to look at a better education of 12 years instead of a sexual orientation or life confusing experience that will totally be irrelevant once the student graduates or drops out. This was written by publicschoolsreview.com, Caldwell School District. For 2023 school year, there are 11 public schools, 5,584 students in Caldwell School District. This district average testing rank is 2 out of 10, which is below 50%. The Caldwell School District math proficiency score is 28 compared to 44 statewide. The reading proficiency 35 instead of 55 statewide. Caldwell School District is ranked in the bottom 50 of 158 school districts in Idaho. The school district graduation rate is 67, has decreased from 74 over 5 years. So you're probably asking yourself, what is he saying with all these stats? It is that Caldwell School District needs to try to better educate the students. Caldwell School District does not need to have distractions within its school hours. Your job is to help the parents educate, get ready for the real world, teach them basics, math, reading, science, economics, history, and etc. Benjamin Franklin quotes, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." It is our jobs as parents to lovingly care for our children and their decisions and their desires. It is our jobs as parents to help push them towards their dreams and passions, whatever that may be. If our kids need pronouns, it is our responsibility to address this matter privately with our children. It is your job to address them as their biological gender. It is your job to address them as their biological name at birth. So as parents among parents and adults, I'm asking for Bill 3281 to be dismantled, to be dismissed from Caldwell School District and hopefully statewide, God favoring. Thank you for your service and God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Okay, and the next person that we have is Todd Marshall from Caldwell.
Madam Chairman, board members, my name is Todd Marshall. I live outside the Caldwell city limits, but inside the Caldwell School District. I taught in this district from 1974 until 2000. I worked hard to do what was best for students and to answer to parents. I must have done something right because over the years I'd have a student and then another year I'd have the brother or the sister. One year I got the principal's daughter. One family, I got 6 of their kids. Another family, I had 8 of their kids. Half my class was usually requests. I wasn't in attendance at the January, excuse me, let me back up. I don't say that stuff about requests as a brag. I say it because I think it shows that I have a little bit of an idea about what successful education is. I didn't come to the January board meeting, but I read about it later. I heard conversations about what the February board meeting might be like. Maybe in a larger arena, the folks wouldn't be forced to stand in a hall or outdoors. Maybe tickets wouldn't be required to attend. I had these questions, so last Friday I stopped by the district office to get some clarification. First time I ever encountered a public building that was locked. I had to push the button and show my face in the little
little I. I had to state my business over the microphone, and only then was I allowed in the building. This is a public building. Finally, someone was found to answer my questions. No, there wasn't going to be a change of venue for this board meeting. It was going to happen in the same boardroom. No tickets would be required for admission. Just show up about 7 and walk in. I might want to consider emailing my comments to the board. But then the next day, a friend sent me an email that she'd received from somebody in the West Ada School District, and some audience packing was going on. They were trying to get West Ada people to come and displace us grouchy old Caldwell people. I don't know. This board seems bent on installing a policy on gender identity and sexual orientation. But in the process, you don't seem to care a bit about what patrons and parents and taxpayers want. This policy on sexual orientation offends me. Students being able to use restrooms and locker rooms corresponding to their gender identity, that's insane, and it will result in lawsuits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Brian Festa.
Good evening. My name is Brian Festa. I am a Caldwell resident, a Caldwell taxpayer, a parent of a student, a special needs student in the Caldwell School District. I am also a civil rights attorney, co-founder and vice president of WeThePatriotsUSA.org, and I'm a former educator as well. Gentleman before me reminded me of that when he was talking about his illustrious career as a teacher, and thank him for his service to the people of Caldwell, the students of Caldwell. But I want to talk about some of the legal ramifications of passing a policy like 3281. I know that it's been put on pause, but on pause doesn't mean canceled or thrown out. It means that it's on pause and could be taken back up again. So I want to get it on the record that passing a policy like this, last time I was here, I talked about how it violated the First Amendment's free exercise of religion clause and establishment of religion clause. But tonight, I want to talk about how it violates the First Amendment's free speech clause, as the young lady who, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, who was one of the first to speak here tonight, or maybe the first, addressed that and said that it was a free speech violation. She's absolutely correct. Just last year, a case was decided in the United States Supreme Court, Kennedy versus Bremerton School District. It was in Washington State. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It was the high school football coach who had been praying on the sidelines after games and was ultimately terminated for that. And the Supreme Court of the United States said that the government, a public entity like a school district, cannot punish religious expression, religious speech. If you're going to allow secular speech, secular celebrations after a game, you have to allow religious as well. And this kind of content-based restriction on speech has long been held to be unconstitutional by the United States Supreme Court. And that's exactly what you'd be doing if you said that a teacher or a student was not allowed to express his or her viewpoint and saying that, no, I don't believe that boy is a girl or that girl is a boy. And no, my religion says that's wrong. My God tells me that's wrong. What's going to happen if a student says that and you discipline that student? Or if a staff member says that and you fire that staff member because they refuse to acknowledge that a boy is a girl or a girl is a boy? I'll tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be lawsuits, and not just for a violation of the First Amendment, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be lawsuits for a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which specifically prohibits religious discrimination in the workplace. So there's also Idaho state law that prohibits that as well. So I know my time is just about up, but I just want to place you on notice that doing this, I don't know what kind of legal advice you've gotten from Attorney White or any other attorneys you've consulted, but my professional opinion, it's going to subject the district to a lot of litigation.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Okay, next on the agenda is Ian Desmond O'Connell. And it looks like this will be our last, after Mr. O'Connell, it's the end of the 45 minutes, so, sir.
My name is Ian O'Connell, and I am a resident of Caldwell. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yes, I offer this up as a prayer. I pray that the board, with all due respect, rejects this proposal if it comes up again. 3281. In all my years of teaching, 30 plus, and a substitute teacher, many years in between, in the Caldwell School District, I've only seen a teacher courageous enough to put God on their walls or have a book referring to God by their desk to witness their belief. I believe that that's being suppressed. People's religious beliefs. 3281 is evil. It's an abomination. I feel so strongly about it that if this passes, I will no longer substitute teach in the Caldwell School District, with all due respect, which has been wonderful for me. And I will encourage my fellow substitute teachers not to teach here anymore. I also encourage teachers, because there is a clause in 3281 that says, if you don't endorse our guidelines, you will be disciplined. Freedom of thought? Where is it gone? And so I pray that this is rejected. And I pray that the teachers who have courage, knowing they have families and they can't do what I'm doing or asking them to do, but I will ask them if this passes, that they immediately apply for a job in a moral school district. Please, for God's sake and your sake, if this comes up, defeat it. Have the courage to do that. At the same time, I thank you for serving, and I wish more people would come. All these beautiful people here. To close down public opinion, that's wrong. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Let's see. So we have next on our agenda is our regular agenda, and we have, let's see, facilities assessment study, Bill Hamlin from Design West. Dr. French, did we have, I don't know if you wanted to do an introduction or. if
Sure.
we-
Madam Chair, trustees, many of you know Bill Hamlin. He has been a guide for us for decades in our facilities management and our building design and maintenance. So ladies, if you'll just one moment, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
We're glad you're here. I heard you were retiring.
Yes, we are.
Are you retiring, Bill?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's why we have him here tonight.
Okay,
Happy Valentine's, everybody, by the way.
yeah.
Good speech.
Happy birthday to my dad as well. It's his birthday today.
Oh, that's
He
great.
lives out of state, but
Okay,
happy
that's
birthday,
good. All right, sir, go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chair, trustees. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and take a few minutes of your time. About 10 years ago, I received a call from the superintendent at that time. Said, I just got out of a meeting with a parent and they want to know why I am spending money on resurfacing a tennis court when there's water dripping on the head of my student in the classroom. And so I said, well, I'm going to find out. The call basically said, what can we do to prioritize our facilities projects and keep our facilities maintained? I was aware of a system that had originated in Washington State. That was a pretty good evaluation system to go through and basically rate your facilities. I suggested that we take a systematic approach and document the conditions of the different facilities. So they decided to go forward with that. So in 2013, we did a study of all the facilities in Caldwell. And we've done this in a number of school districts successfully. It's been a good system to help you decide what your priorities are for facilities upkeep and maintenance. Basically, it's a system that brings together design professionals, a design team to evaluate your facilities, and it's combined with the folks that know the buildings the best. So we involve building administrators for comments and information on their facilities. We involve facilities, staff, and even custodial staff. So we'll go through the building and utilizing this evaluation system. This system was primarily for buildings themselves. Now, we all know that grounds also take a lot of maintenance and there's costs associated with building grounds. So Design West developed a rating system along the similar guidelines as for the building for grounds for each unique level of school. So there's elementary, middle, junior high schools, and high schools because they have different amenities on the sites. So we developed a rating system for that. So the building rating system basically has 5 categories with a number of subcategories, but they evaluate the exterior of the building, the interior of the buildings, all the building systems, for instance, mechanical, electrical systems. We also evaluate the safety of the building. Further, there is a review of accessibility with the building, and then we even take some comments on educational adequacy of the building. So for instance, my school would perform much better and I could meet curriculum needs if I had a music room or something of that nature. So it even allows you to review some of the adequacy features of the building, not just the physical rating of the building. So what we do is we engage in a thorough inspection of all facilities. That means we walk the entire buildings, we get on the roofs, we walk the exterior, and that's done in collaboration with your facility staff. From there, we generate a rating for the building. We document the conditions and we generate a rating. And again, this is an overall view of the building. I'm not going to say that in it will be every nick and scratch in a wall, but it's just to give you an overall rating. It also corresponds to a numerical rating on a scale of 1 to 100. And you'll get an overall building rating that'll tell you, that'll give you a number, and that'll fall into a general category. So it'll be your building is fine. If it's above an 80, your building is fine with just regular maintenance. You don't really need to do anything to it. 60 to 80 means you need some minor renovations. And then 40 to 60 says you need some pretty major renovations. And if it's below 40, then you should consider replacement of the building. It's probably not worth spending the money to bring it up to that level. So you'll have a system that gives you an overall building rating, but what it also does is give you system building ratings. So you can look at the data on roofs. What are the condition of all my roofs? And list all the facilities, what the various conditions are. And that'll be for several of the major systems. That allows you to make some judgments on what are my priorities. We also encourage a process that goes through and identifies the highest priority items per building. So rate all the priority items to correct the deficiencies in the building. And then, so we end up with a rating for all the various buildings and a list of priorities for all those buildings to bring them up to whatever level you deem is appropriate for your facilities. From there comes the difficult process of taking district-wide all these deficiencies and things you need to do with your buildings and try to put those, weigh one school against the next and to find out where all those ratings are. And those are normally guided by the philosophy of the board. For instance, are we going to put first any safety or accessibility item? Are we going to, so fire alarms or things like that? Are we going to say things that contribute to the building, having more problems, for instance, roofing, any water intrusion in the building that really can cause some deficiencies elsewhere in the building. So basically we'll have that kind of a conversation to say, what are your highest priorities? And there'll be a process for that. From there, we look at the financial aspect. We would take the highest priority items and do cost projections. What would it take to take care of those things today? Obviously, buildings are aging faster than we realize. I had the pleasure of working on the new high school project in 96 and 97. So what seems like a new building is already getting to the point where you're getting to the end of life of certain systems, portions of roofs or mechanical systems or those types of things. So what we'll do is we'll take the highest priority items in the estimate and we'll cost project them over time. Whether we look in the crystal ball and say, what do we think inflation is going to be? And we'll look over a 10-year period. We'll place them out over a 10-year period and then try to apply funding, the various funding that you may have for the projects and see how fast they're going to be accomplished so that you can make some financial judgments on how you address the issues you have. But it brings an awareness to many things. You heard about boilers tonight and a number of things from the early study have been accomplished, but there's still some things that haven't over that time frame. So it really gives you it's kind of an awakening as far as exactly what is going on with your facilities and what your needs are. And then also gives you the problem, how you address them and whatnot. But at least you looking at it with your eyes wide open and can make the best judgments with the patrons' money. And that's really what this is about, is so you're not fixing tennis courts when water is dripping on somebody's head. So I wanted to give you that brief overview of the process and be glad to stand for any questions you may have.
Trustees, any questions for Mr. Hamlin? Right, there we go. Any questions for Mr. Hamlin?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Did
trustee.
you bring any of those little chocolates that had the schools on them by chance?
That can be arranged.
I had a quick question. So the study, we do it how often, Dr. French, or Cheryl? Ms. Anderson?
Madam Chair and trustees, Cheryl, I think the last time it's been over a decade.
It was 2013.
Okay.
The
Okay.
state has recommends every 10 years.
That we do.
Right. One other thing about the study is that then you can utilize it as part of your 10-year plan. So it also gives you a basis. So it's not just standalone. There's other utilization, and it's a living document. So you can update it every year and say, well, we took care of that roof this year. Now we have a high rating on the roof for that. Now our building is rated at an 82 and, or whatever. So it kind of gives you a good comparison between buildings. Just some of your buildings age, you may have something that's up in the 80s, but you may have something down in the 60s. And so it allows you to get some equity between the quality level of your facilities as well.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
So
trustee.
Bill, do you look at any of the past analyses to sort of compare what's on the ground at all, or is that not necessarily a factor?
Trustee Manning, I would say, yes, we definitely will do that, because you have a previous facility study, you can look and see if you've gained ground or lost ground within systems or also with an overall rating of facilities. So we could very easily contrast today's condition with what the condition was 10 years ago when we reviewed all your facilities.
Any other questions, trustee?
I have one. Thank you. So I don't know if I missed it in the introduction. So what we're seeing here as a document is this just recently has been redone. Is that correct? So this document is the agreement made as of the 11th of January, 2023. So this is the agreement saying now you're going to do this.
Yeah, that's the proposal to conduct another study for you. Yes.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, didn't read the fine print over here. Okay, so you're getting ready to do a new study.
If that's your wish for us to go
Okay.
forward with it, we'd be glad to do that for you.
Okay, I've got you. Now I'm on the same page. Thank you. I was just reading through all this and trying to figure out if it was where we were at that. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, Mr. Hamlin, I was just following up on that. What's the time frame to complete the evaluation?
Trustee Butler, it usually takes us about a month to actually go through all the facilities. And we'll usually have a team of folks and we'll try to do several different reviews simultaneously. So for instance, we'll have someone walking the perimeter of the building, going on the roofs, doing an exterior review. At the same time, somebody will be doing a site review, walking the site and looking at the site amenities. We try to time it a little bit with the weather. Although we are fairly hardy, we get out there most of the weather, but just to be able to get a good read on things like roofs and whatnot. Obviously, if there's snow covering them at the time, we don't want to spend time on the roof and not see what we're there to see. So about a month of actual physical review of your facilities, and then probably about 2 or 3 weeks of compiling the data into a rating. And then probably a couple more weeks of the prioritization and budgeting process. So if we're talking about a couple months here, unless there's some particular date you need the information by, and we can attempt to accelerate the process. But I think you're about 2 months by the time you give a go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
It's a fairly labor intensive process.
And then we focus on getting everything done between. We focus on getting everything done between May and August, right?
But
no, I'm just joking. That's what we tell Bernie anyway.
Where's Bernie?
No. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Hamlin? We good? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe this is an action item. So I would like to ask for a motion to approve the facilities assessment study.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the facilities improvement study.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, trustees? Hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries, sir. Okay, thank you. All right, and Dr. French, if you'd like to introduce our next speaker.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and trustees. So I would like to introduce Rob King and Jessica Watts. They are going to present you with they're presenting you with the presentation that they are sharing with our middle school students and also with other students and families who may be interested in pursuing a career technical pathway. And we do appreciate Mr. King. Rob King serves as our CTE liaison and he has written several grants. He has helped make sure that our kids get out on industry tours, and our CTE program is very strong. So with that, I'll just turn that time over to Jessica.
Hello, Madam Chair, trustees, Dr. French, thank you guys for letting me present to you. As Dr. French mentioned, Rob King has been very helpful with our CTE programs, and he reached out to me because he had secured a grant to help provide funding to print out CTE brochures and postcards that I have provided you guys with. And I asked if I could be a part of helping produce those. And he was nice enough to let me be a part of it. So let me just see if I can. do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's a little bit about what career technical education is for those who might not know. It provides students with real hands-on learning at what they would get in real life careers. And through what I have learned being out in the schools and seeing it, it is really a great opportunity for students to take to either learn more about a career that they are interested in or something that they would like to, learn more about.
Career technical education programs provide students with hands-on learning opportunities aligned with careers right here in Idaho. CTE programs focus on applied learning and career readiness. Regardless of where you are in your life, we want you to have the confidence and skills you need to get an in-demand job. That means you have real-life skills and experience to offer an employer. And because CTE programs are aligned with regional and statewide labor needs, you'll be training to a job in your field of study. The Caldwell School District offers a wide variety of CTE courses for students. The Agricultural Education Program allows students the opportunity to participate in the FFA organization and expand their learning and leadership skills in the agricultural industry. ASE certifications are available for students to earn in the auto program. This allows students to gain employment experience working as a general mechanic. The Business and Marketing program allows students to earn dual credit through Treasure Valley Community College and industry certifications in Microsoft and Adobe. Students enrolled in the engineering program can also earn dual credit through NNU and a chance to compete in engineering and robotics events through the Skills USA and VEX Robotics organizations. Opportunities are available for students to explore careers in the tourism and hospitality industries through the Family and Consumer Science program. They will also gain life skills such as sewing, cooking, and childcare. Students have the opportunity to earn their Certified Nursing Assistant, Medical Assistant, AHA, CPR, ARC FAST, and Pharmacy Technician certifications through the Health Occupations program. The welding program allows students to become AWS certified and gain access to employment opportunity in the welding industry while getting the chance to compete in various welding events. In addition to the programs at Caldwell High School, Canyon Springs High School offers pathways in culinary arts, criminal justice, and graphic design. If you would like to learn more information about any of the CTE programs offered at Caldwell or Canyon Springs High School, please contact your counselor.
So I was able to create that with the help of Rob. We wanted to update these brochures that you are seeing and that you guys have as well with pictures. And so he helped me kind of go out in the classroom, work with teachers to kind of go and take pictures of students working in class so we could kind of update pictures and update the brochures. And while I was able to take those pictures, I got some video, as you guys saw, to help produce that video just so, students, staff, patrons are aware of career technical education here in Caldwell. And so I was able to create the career technical education brochures for Caldwell and Canyon Springs High School. They're also provided in Spanish as well.
Thank you for that.
And yes.
Good,
good.
good.
This is not
Yeah.
just me. I'm trying to credit.
Oh, I thought you had.
No.
Okay, good.
And we were able to create individual postcards for our CTE program. So here's the ag, and I also have provided you with those as well. Auto, business, CNA, engineering, family consumer science, pharmacy tech, which is a newer program, which is, I think, very great that students have the opportunity to take that. Rehabilitation services, and welding. And so we kind of worked on creating these for the CTE recruiting days that go to the middle schools. So we could hand those out to students so they can kind of get aware of what they could possibly take in high school. And I will pass it over to Rob since he was actually there, kind of the head of running the CTE recruiting days at the middle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Jessica has done some great work, so we're really lucky to have her. You should all have, hopefully, the board, Madam Chair and Trustee and Dr. French should have a kind of a summary update of our CTE program. I'm not going to go into all of that. I'm just going to share about our recruiting efforts. And, first of all, we have such an incredible number of opportunities for students in terms of career pathways. We actually have 15 career pathways because some of the brochures we incorporated more than one pathway. Like in ag, we have ag mechanics, plant science, animal science. And in other areas like business, we have marketing, we have business, we also have administrative services. So our goal is really to make sure that all of our students are aware of the opportunities that are available to them and make sure that they and their parents really know what's there and that they take advantage of them. We're also just adding 2 more pathways this coming year. We're going to be adding a computer science pathway at the high school, and we're going to be adding a culinary arts pathway at Canyon Springs. And we're actually going to have a pathway in law enforcement this coming year. Right now, it's just a class. And again, our goal just is to make sure all students are aware of these opportunities, but especially our 8th graders who will be becoming 9th graders next year, because we really want to capture them. And so we finished just the last 2 weeks reaching out to the middle schools at lunchtime with recruiting efforts. And we were lucky enough to get some of our students who are already in the CTE pathways to know about what to actually go out and speak to the middle school students and share why they got into their pathway and what they enjoyed about it. And of course, students talking to students is the most powerful. And we actually had 450 8th grade pathway interest signups. That doesn't mean that there were 450 students that signed up. Some signed up for more than one pathway because they were interested. But we were excited about that. And all of them that signed, that even just all the 8th graders got a general brochure no matter what. And then if they signed up for pathway, we gave them a postcard, which gave them more information about the pathway. And then in addition to that, we shared this information with the counselors, both at the 8th grade counselors at the middle schools and the counselors at the high school, and also with the CTE teachers, encouraging the teachers to follow back up and share more information about their program. And in addition to that, hopefully the counselors will be able to use this information, especially the 8th grade counselors, as they're formulating 4-year plans with students. Actually, I know at least at Syringa, this is the week they're doing 4-year planning. And we also have been able to use the video in the classrooms during advisories, both in the middle school and the high school, in the middle schools and the high schools. So the kids are getting a lot of exposure. And in addition to that, we're going to reach out during the Caldwell High School Expo on February the 28th, where we'll have all our CTE programs there. And we'll be able to share with parents and students all the opportunities. We're also, this is CTE month, so we're celebrating CTE month with all of our banners in the hallways of the front foyer of Caldwell High School, along with the recruiting, a CTE recruiting poster across the top. And so we're really excited.
Do you have a banner for Canyon Springs?
We don't have a banner, but we have brochures. We have a brochure for Canyon Springs. Actually, this is the first year we were able to create a brochure, and it's changing pretty quickly, but we're real excited that we have, of course, both English and Spanish.
Yes,
and
thank you.
We're going to have 3 pathway programs at Canyon Springs, which is really exciting.
Okay, good, thank you.
But that, that's kind of just a summary of our recruiting efforts. And I just have to say, I think we have some of the greatest CTE programs and some of the greatest CTE teachers that I'm aware of. And I feel really lucky to work with them because they are totally committed. So that's just a brief summary.
Thank you. I remember when I was in high school, 40 years ago this summer will be, but anyways, my CTE back then, options were either FFA or home ec, and that was it. So, I mean, we've come a long ways and this is great because it gives the kids a good head start on, you know, what they want to do and gets them with a lot of these classes under their belt before they even get into post-secondary school. So this is really, really good. Trustees, any comments or questions for Mr. King or for Ms. Watts?
Madam Chair, I got a quick question for Mr. King. Do you base your classes off the teachers that you have or I mean, I'm sure that probably is the first step. Is that correct?
Well, I would say this, that they have to be certified to be able to teach a pathway. And so like, for instance, at Canyon Springs a couple of years ago, we lost our law enforcement teacher. So we had to put it on hold until we got a new teacher. So that it does impact what we can offer based on what teacher certifications exist. That answers.
Madam Chair, I know we had a conversation with our kids. I've got 2 boys that are in 8th grade and they've been talking about this and we've been talking about classes for next year and potential career paths with them. And so it's been really good to have those kinds of conversations with our kids as they look at their potential schedules for, you know, next year and maybe taking a class this summer, even that kind of stuff too.
That's good. Yes. Any other comments?
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Butler?
mostly just a comment. You know, I work in the trades as a woodworker, and so I'm very well aware of the skills gap that we have among the trades. And so it's just wonderful to see. It really warms my heart to see these programs blossoming and expanding and kids really wanting to take full effect of what's available to them. So,
you know, I just want to add that because part of this grant, we also can take kids on industry tours. Last year, we went to 25 different businesses on 10 different industry tours in pretty much every pathway. So we're getting kids out into the real world and letting them see the opportunities that exist in these pathways, which really motivates them, I would say. So.
That's great.
Madam Chair, Principal Wilson just sent me a text and said, please plug the expo.
Yes, and
so we'll make sure that that's in the newsletter and that you're invited to the expo on February 28th.
Yes.
6 p.m. Madam Chair, 6 p.m.
There she is. Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment just on the question about what programs we offer? Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
So we, part of CTE is that every year we do a needs assessment that includes our state and our local community on what the needs of the community are based on the job market. And we get information from the Department of Labor and other sources. And we specifically develop and pursue and recruit teachers in high needs areas. So we've expanded our health occupations programs recently because of that. That's a specific need area for our community. And also we've changed some of the pathways. For example, we changed one of our business pathways to administrative services based on need. We also changed our culinary arts program at Caldwell High School to hospitality based on that community needs assessment. So that's one way that we determine what programs we offer. And then we pursue finding teachers that are qualified. And we, like Rob is talking about, we recruit kids hard so that we get the kids into the programs that meet the needs in our community. So that's kind of how that all comes together.
Thank you. So that the expo is on the 28th. That's a Tuesday, correct? Do you have a
correct? 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, and it'll be there in the cafeteria area?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. I'll be there. And I'll get one of these guys or Trish to come over. Okay, that would be great. It'd be great to see the great things that are happening with the CTE program. So anything else, trustees, I believe that was information only, correct? Thank you so much. We appreciate your presentation and it looks great. The brochures look amazing and thank you again for making sure that they were in English and Spanish. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. And then next we have driver education, Cheryl Sanderson. Where's Lisa? Tell her that I asked for her, okay?
I will.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Actually, I'm going to address the leases for her. She is planning to present to the board with a full report at the next meeting.
Okay.
On the
Great.
driver's ed program as a whole.
Okay.
Madam Chair, as you know, vehicles are hard to get right now. And so it's important for us, if we are inclined to lease new vehicles for the summer sessions, that we do that right away. Most of the cars that we've been getting quotes on end up sold before we have an opportunity to secure the lease. So we did some research. We got quotes from, I believe, 4 dealers on 5 different vehicles. And this is the vehicle that meets the driver's training program the best. They currently have 7 vehicles, as it mentions in the memo. We will retire 1 this year and then lease 2. So we'll bring our fleet up to 8, which will accommodate the increase in the program that they're experiencing. And like I said, Lisa will give a much more in-depth presentation at the work session in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so
Any
at this,
questions?
yeah, any questions, trustees?
Madam Chair, Ms. Sanderson, do we need to approve the leases for tonight?
Yes, if you could.
Okay, and so those are 2 vehicles, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, because we're retiring 1 and we're just adding 1 more
And adding
to the
one to
fleet.
the fleet.
Okay,
That's correct.
so I would like to ask for a motion to approve for the 2 additional vehicles for driver's ed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to add 2 additional vehicles to the fleet.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Trustees, additional discussion.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out that Caldwell School District, it has a great opportunity to do driver's ed and use fast forward monies, I believe, correct? So that is, it's money that the state legislature has provided $4,125 to every single student in the state of Idaho to use. There are some parameters, but but things like driver's ed, and it's not, most districts don't use it for that, but Caldwell has gotten permission to do that. So it's a good thing to train our drivers well. As my students, are going through the licensing process and the driver's ed process, I always like to tease them about, letting me know when they're on the roads and what time, and so that I can avoid those kinds of roads. And but it is really important for our kids to.
Wait, you asked me that too. No.
We know your schedule.
So this is a really great thing, and it's a great thing that Bill Cooper initiated several years ago, who has since passed away. He's one of my neighbors actually, and passed away, was it last year, I think. But we're glad that Lisa Velasquez has taken over the role for driver's ed and continuing the strong tradition of educating our kids. And there are even kids from outside of Caldwell that want to do that, to come in and use our program, because it's such a strong program, and the staff that they have, and it's just a really great thing.
Thank you. Any other discussion, trustees? Okay, I'd like to put
Madam
out for-
Chair, I just want to,
Yes, ma'am.
the reason we're able to use those funds because all of our teachers are certified. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. All right, Dr. French, emergency school closure.
Madam Chair and trustees, we needed to close Canyon Springs High School on Monday, the January 30th, due to a broken boiler, and it was an emergency closure. Based on board policy, we need your approval of that closure.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept or request the approval of the school closure on January 30th, 2023, when the boiler broke at Canyon Springs.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the emergency closure of Canyon Springs High School.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, trustees?
Madam Chair, I just want to ask the district, as you know, our boilers are aging. We've talked a little bit about that. The cost is, you know, it's a lot to get those replaced. Do we anticipate the boilers breaking down? Kind of thing, and
Yes,
They'll never break.
he fixed them good.
Yes, we are doing our best. We do have a company in line to do a full assessment of it.
Can you, sorry, thank you.
Sorry. We do have at this time a company that's looking to do a full assessment of it, but this is something that we've been a reoccurring event, so we're not trying to be hopeful, but at the same time, this is something that I presented. I don't know if you remember in
your big book
binder,
yes,
this was still a concern then, and it's
Uh-huh.
continuing to be so. And I mean, I think we had a $3 million price tag attached to it then. So I don't know what we're looking at right now, but that's why we're going to go ahead and have it assessed and kind of see how much more life we can get out of it. Yeah, it's just day to day is basically what we're trying to make sure it's just running.
so, Madam Chair, Mr. Carrera, so is this something Design West would do in their analysis, or it's not specific enough? You need more of a specialized look at the boiler system?
Yes, it's from a boiler company that's specialized in it. They will assess it, but it's not going through the whole system like what we're hoping to get to see where the biggest issues are. I mean, they don't crawl through the tunnel spaces and look at things like that. They look at it as a whole. So it's not as in-depth as what we'd like to do, because we are trying to get maximum life out of it right now.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Carrera? No? And thank you, Bernie. I think we have a motion in a second, right? Okay, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes on the emergency school closure. Okay, and then next we have our COVID-19 school operation plan for 2022 to 2023. Dr. French?
Yeah, Madam Chair and trustees, this is an action item this evening based on a state board rule. The COVID operating plan was reviewed and updated. So the plan is basically the same plan as we started. However, I've gone through and made sure the links were active and made sure that, well, basically the links are active, and anything that was now the CDC their website no longer carries that information, that those links have been changed. So the COVID plan has been updated as per the requirement by the state department and state board rule. So I just need I'm asking for approval of the plan. It's basically intact, but I can assure you that links were updated. They were working when I paste or uploaded it into this document.
Okay.
But I'll double check it again, but they were working.
We'll have Trustee Butler check those in. Okay.
Oh, and there were other information updates from Southwest District Health.
Okay, all right. So trustees, this is an action item to approve the plan with the updated links. I'd like to ask for a motion for that.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the updated COVID-19 2022-2023 operating plan.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a second. And any further discussions, trustees?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
So I guess my question is, so how long are we going to have to keep the COVID plan? Do we know that?
Madam Chair and trustees, the ESSER funding, the ARP funding all is through 2024. So I would imagine that we will need to have a plan through 2024.
And you'll keep us updated if that gets updated. Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes. All right, and our next item is future agenda items. I don't know if trustees, if you have a future agenda item that you'd like to post or let our clerk know that you'd like to have either at the work session or our next board meeting. Also, please note that we do have a policy regarding agenda items where you may speak to the superintendent or myself. We could talk about getting that agenda on the posted with that item posted on the agenda. And also if you have another board, school board trustee, two of you come to Dr. French or I, we can put those on the agenda as well. Okay, so, all right, if we're good with that, we'll move on to.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on.
Yes.
Can I make a motion to recess for 5 minutes before we get into the policies
Yes,
discussion?
yes, yeah. So let us recess for about five minutes? Is it 5, 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, so we're gonna recess for 10 minutes, okay? Thank you. It is 8 or 9:11. We'll be back by 9:21. All right. All right, so we are live. We're coming back on, and the next item on our agenda is policy development and adoption. So Dr. French.
Thank
take it
you,
away.
Madam Chair and trustees. So I've developed this in my mind. I'm going to give you a baseball analogy. I shared it with China. China's very good at baseball. She said I had the right terminology. But I just want to make sure that you understand and that our families and parents understand that a proposed policy is like a minor league. The AAA, the AA's, it's a minor league. Let's think of it as a pitcher that plays for the minors. We may be scouting it, we may be looking, could be serious, it could be, say, like 87 or 8320 fire drills and evacuation plans. That might be something that we're like, oh, got to get on that. I can tell you that the 8120 may have been there for a while and we've got to address it. So that might be, but it's like a scouting report on a minor league player. It may or may not move forward. But it's something that we were looking at because someone asked us to look at that. It might have been one of you. It could have been an employee. It could have been a parent. Okay. The errata revisions, I'll come to that one. First reading is like you have been pulled up to the major leagues and you're in the bullpen. So you're up there. We're still taking public input. We're still asking about it. Is the policy ready to go out on the mound? Second reading with the policy, it's moving to the pitcher's mound, right? It's the big game, major leagues. And I would say the Boston Red Sox, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it's the Washington, but they're out on the second read. They're on the mound. It's also possible that a policy that's out second can go back to the bullpen. It is also possible that a policy that's been out in the game for a long time can be pulled back into the errata revision. Right? I would consider that almost a bullpen too. It's like, are you sure? Because there's something that needs to be updated or changed based on, let's just type like video recordings, copyright law. We do not use VHS tapes. Those are gone. We might use streaming services, so we need to update the language of the policy. So I wanted to make sure, so maybe sometimes you're thinking about it, think about it maybe in terms of baseball. So we don't talk about proposed policies. Those are just in the minor leagues. They may or may not move forward. And then we'll go forward. So I'm skipping over policy, the proposed. I was looking at 4105, a couple of there was some input on that. The policy committee has not looked at that yet. It is a proposed policy because it was to put in policy the process of public input. So it wasn't, we have a practice of public input, but what we wanted to do was take that practice and put it into policy. And that will be the goal. So that will be reflective of how we have public input. It's not to stop people, it's actually to hold us to that to hold us to that commitment. All right.
That policy to start for the Seattle Mariners is what you're saying.
Yes, that's right. So right now we're requesting to rescind policy 711, transportation of infants. That's something that if we did need to, so for instance, if we had a student who needed to, the only way they could get to school is for us to transport them and their child to the daycare at Canyon Springs. I am visiting with China. We would make arrangements that would be a one-off, like maybe possibly a transport minivan that could be done through a service. We would not have CTC on a bus driving them because there's really no way to secure an infant or a. So I'm asking to rescind policy 711 for that reason, but we would provide a service if necessary.
Okay. All right. So that is an action item. I would like to ask for a motion to accept and approve the rescinded policy 711.
Madam Chair, I move to rescind policy 711, transportation of infants.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for the discussion, trustees. Okay, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, policy 711 is rescinded and passes with the motion. Thank you.
Next, we have the errata revisions. These are, we do have a test. We'll call it the Board of Trustees test. Is this truly an errata, a revision, or is there's too much being changed, it would move to first reading instead. So an errata revision, if as approved, it just goes into policy. So most of these errata revisions were changed because of changes in state code or state policy. 2700 we were asked by Mrs. Hirosaki to please review that. Due to the request, it had a language in there that was not in line with special education. So you'll notice that there's some just like a minor change to 2700. Their minor change to 3030 part-time attendance dual enrollment. And let me get there, apologize. 5105 was a change. We had the renewable contract that was updated by the state. And we also added in there the professionally endorsed staff. What does that look like? That was also updated with state code. And so we just updated, and you can see if it's been updated with state code. The state code is in red. Anything that's been updated, you'll notice it. That's how changes were made at the state level. So, and then the district nutrition committee, thankfully, our child nutrition director had looked at that and visited with this child nutrition at the state level. And it made it basically, it's a more simplistic that we want a member of the Board of Trustees to serve on that committee. And also just she is required to complete the Idaho Wellness Policy Progress Report. So that was just added. And you can also see that at the bottom. These are just small changes in language. So with that, I would ask for approval of the board to, I'd ask the board to approve the errata revisions for 2700. High school graduation, 3030, part-time attendance, 5105, certificated personnel employment, and 8210, district nutrition committee.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept and approve the errata revisions for those four policies stated.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the errata revisions for policy 2700, high school graduation requirements, policy 3030, part-time attendance, dual enrollment, policy 5105, certificated personnel employment, and policy 8210, district nutrition committee.
Thank you. I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Further discussion, trustees? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes for the errata revisions.
Madam Chair, the first reading, you were probably like, oh, that's a lot of first reading. That was because there were several errata revisions that did not make the board test. I felt that the changes there were some significant changes that they should go through a first reading bullpen and a second reading, get out on the major league pitching mound, right? So it gives the patrons a longer period of time to give input on them. So that's why you see so many. The 2310 nutrition education is a revision. There are several updates from US code, which guides the USDA in our child nutrition program. And you will see that's a lot of strikeouts on people who would serve or be a part of what we're supposed to do to train the local community on nutrition.
And by strikeouts, you're not talking about the baseball metaphor. You're talking about the text
Thank you. That's strike through. I'll say strike through. Yeah. So you're gonna see that. And we are looking for a trustee to serve on the nutrition committee, wellness committee, right, Mrs. Sanderson? Yes, she's like, yes, we are. The next one we have is the 2385. It's the English learner program. It was enough of a change that we felt it wasn't necessarily a rata revision. So there's some change to US code, and we wanted to make sure patrons had a chance to read through it and give input. 2400s special education. This would be a replacing policy 670, and there are several changes in there. One of it, we are referencing the Idaho State Department of Education Special Education Manual, the current edition, which we had not referenced before. So that's a change that would be more than just an errata revision. The selection, adoption, use, and removal of curricular materials. This one, we do appreciate, we had public input on this prior to tonight, and you'll see that it changes, it is in line with the state code. At least one half of the committee must be comprised of persons other than public educators and trustees, and shall include parents of a child or children attending schools or schools within the district. So that was a change in Idaho code, and it's significant. Advanced requirements, 6th grade. This is an update from IDAPA rule, and just wanted to make sure the language of our policy was reflected of those changes in IDAPA rule.
Dr. French,
Yes.
you might be able to just briefly explain what that.
Oh, sorry. IDAPA rule is the State Board of Education's, I want to say clarification, something that might have been codified, but then the state board will act and give clarification and guidance on how that's to be implemented and the requirements of state law expectations. Shannon, how did I do? Good?
Administrative procedures.
Yep. Good. Okay. She said that so well. The next one, 2615, student career pathway plans. That would replace policy 690. And you can see we've taken out 4-year, a lot of the strike throughs for 4-year plan. It would be the student career pathway, and that is more in line. Well, it's just updated language. 2700P, this one I had initially had put it on for errata revision, but it did not make the board errata revision test. So there's enough changes in it that it is up for first reading. And all I did, honestly, is I just updated it to reflect IDAPA code, the language of IDAPA, using the same terminology that they were using. 3340, corrective actions. It was enough of a change of an errata revision that it's made it just went to a first reading. Yep. Okay. And it does add in there the discipline of students with disabilities. So that is, I mean, that is an involvement with the special education teacher and or Mrs. Hirosaki. The next one, 3340, which is I'm not right. Yeah, corrective actions procedure. Definitely first reading. There's so many changes in there that it just really speaks to expulsion and what does that look like, and if a student is on an IEP, what does that look like, giving us guidance on if we should move from a suspension and expulsion. Immunization requirements, it would replace 565 and 565E. This is nice. It was just visually easier to read. It's very similar to policy 565, except that we have it in a table form. The things that are different are changes that were made in the Idaho code, the immunization exemptions 394802. So you'll see communication section 5 and I'm sorry, I'm like looking quick. The immunization intended, section 4 and section 5 to match Idaho code. Then.
I just had one comment on,
Sure.
I'm sorry if we're still talking about 3525. I know that we had a patron input on that one and just to make it clear, we do have an exemption form, correct?
Yeah, so
Yes.
Madam Chair and trustees, the forms that are provided for you to review, those are forms that have been used and they are state forms.
Mhm.
So we
Okay.
just use state forms.
Okay, thank you.
And 7430 travel allowance and expenses. There was enough change to this that it met the first reading test. And it does include compensation time for the non-exempt employee, which would be a classified employee, as well as does address or speaks to trustee travel as well. Okay, getting close, 8200 local school wellness. You can see through 8200, there were several changes made. We appreciate our child nutrition director working through this and letting us know of these changes and then just bringing that to our attention. And then the last one, I think, in this set is 8605, retention of district records. Just an update of Idaho code to the way we keep our records and how long we have to keep certain records. And you can see, well, one, we appreciate this. The management guide for Idaho records has been updated. And there was enough of a change that we felt like it needed to be a first reading for public input and a chance for you to read through it as well. Okay, I think that's it for the first reading group.
Okay, thank you. And so at this time, I would like to,
Madam Chair.
yes.
So I've got a couple questions
Mhm.
on these. It is a little tricky because one of them is a 7430, but it also coincides on the second reading with policy 1420. And it's just about travel expenses. And our good vice chairman always talks about streamlining processes.
Donita doesn't like that phrase.
And so it just talks about trustee expenses in two different locations.
Mhm.
And neither one says all of what the other one says.
Mhm.
And so I just thought that it might need some tweaking, one or both of them to kind of coincide with each other. They do reference each other, I believe. But it would be easier, for somebody to want to know, as a new trustee going and seeing that it would only be in one location. That's just some thoughts. I don't know how the other trustees feel, but so it's not removing or adding anything. It's just possibly combining
Or separating them completely.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Trustee Butler and trustees, so the policy, sorry. The 7430, it includes all district travel. So anybody who travels, anybody who would travel. So, and it does include trustees travel. And then 1420 talks about expenses. The only thing I could think is if we would want to modify 1420, 7430 really does address all travel for any district person. So if you were considering adding travel to 1420, I could see that. I really wouldn't want to take 7430 apart because of who it's addressing, and it could still address that your travel expenses if you should have to travel. Yes, we can rewrite them. I'm happy to do that.
Could we, this is just a suggestion and let me know, Trustee Butler, if that works. Could we leave 7430 as it is, but then maybe could we add to 1420 the travel part just for the trustees?
Yes, and what this would be is there's a picture, there's a yes, there's someone pitching. So this would be on the mound, ready. This one goes back to the bullpen, is what I meant. Okay, we can sure do that. Yeah.
And then that way, if a trustee wanted to know, they could if they saw that, it would all be there, you know?
Yeah, I can, and I'm gonna put
If
bullpen,
that's-
and that will help.
Okay.
Is this AAA or Major League?
So,
And even if it was just to leave, just to take the trustee part out of 7430, and leave it for all other staff and employees, and then just take even the similar wording, same wording, and add it into 1420. If that makes
all
sense.
right, okay.
So
We
they're kind
have
of separating
passed,
between. yeah.
we have passed the first reading.
On
So
the,
you're,
on the
gonna- so
14.
on 74, you know what, that will come up. So you're gonna just say you want it tabled next month, okay, on 74?
So we want to
Okay,
table
for the-
that
for the
tonight.
first-
Because you've already passed it. I don't, unless there's a way to make a motion to pull that
We
policy.
haven't done the first read. Which one?
Didn't we already, did we take?
First
a-
reading, we haven't done,
Oh, so
haven't
you
done
haven't taken a motion
74:30
yet.
yet.
I've just talked.
No.
Okay,
we haven't. done
okay. So you would want to table 7430.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Does that include the F1 and F2 or just the 7430?
All of it?
Yeah, I would just table it all together.
Nice big happy family.
And you're, okay, that makes sense.
So then would we need to do the same thing on the second reading of 1420?
Probably, yeah. Send it back. Because it looked good all by itself.
It did.
Okay.
I don't have problems with the wordings on either one of them. It's just that it's in two different places. So.
Streamline, that word. Okay, so then, how about trustee Butler, or I don't know if I can do this, but let's ask for a motion.
Excuse me. Madam Chair, I move to approve the first reading of the itemized policies with the exception of 7430, 7430 F1, and 7430 F2.
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, first reading passes with the exclusion of 7430 and its two little parts there.
Okay.
Okay, all right. All right.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair and trustees. So on second reading, we've talked about 1420 trustee expenses. We next have 2205 citizenship and patriotic observance. It is a new policy referencing Idaho code. So if you had questions, please let me know about that. 2340 controversial issues in academic freedom. If you'll recall, this one we've talked about often, and maybe it has been a couple months ago that we tabled it for further discussion. So I'm going to leave that to the trustees for further discussion. 3345, use of restraint. It's updated and reviewed with our special education director. Then we have evaluation of certificated personnel, the 5340, that was updated with new language. And also we included, again, IDAPA rule on individualized professional learning plans that was added to it. And then we also, it was also added based on state code changes that individuals who hold a professional or advanced professional endorsement, that was added to that language of the existing policy. And then finally, vacation leave 5450. This was updated and the formatting was changed. It was put in a table form. This only affects classified employees who are scheduled to work 253 days or more. But it's a policy specifically for year-round employees.
Okay, so trustees. Okay.
One thought, just on the citizenship and patriotic observance policy 2205. I don't know if we need a clarification on section 4 4.1.1 is talking about Veterans Day. And it says on November 11th, all schools in the Caldwell School District will conduct an observance and appropriate program of at least one class period, remembering and honoring Americans veterans. I didn't know if there needed to be some clarification language when it comes to the elementary, since they don't have class periods.
Madam Chair, Trustee Butler, and my thoughts on that would be a class period. If they were asked, I would expect it, a class period at the high school is 45, 50 minutes. I would say most of the elementaries have an assembly. Well, most everyone has an assembly because it's required to have an assembly and recognize or do something to recognize our veterans. I'm looking at Mrs. Lingen.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Trustee Butler, I wonder if what it would be associated to at the elementary level would be, it could fall under the terms of a period as it correlates into staff collaboration or what elementaries would call staff specials time. So typically it might fall in a 30 to 45 minute period where students would otherwise go to music or PE or whatever.
Okay.
So it's typically how it goes, but we could.
Do you feel, Ms. Langen, that we need to specify it and have it be more specific or detailed? Or do you think the way that we have it and the practice that we've used is going to be okay?
Yeah, Madam Chair, as Dr. French mentioned, usually it just happens within the course of a split day. I think that would be up to the board to decide if you want more of a designated time frame. Like at the secondary, you're kind of dialed into a particular period, where in the elementary, it would be correlated to a specials time, and that does vary. So I guess it would be up to the board to decide if you would like a designated amount of time that it would happen, because we are holding assemblies, but when it happens for the duration is a little flexible for the building.
I would say too, is your age ranges. So kindergartner at a 45-minute assembly could be it could be too long.
That is correct.
Fifth grader, that might be, it still could be too long.
That is correct. And that's very true, Dr. French. And so some schools might even have a primary assembly and then an intermediate assembly, not only because of the time factor, but because of all gym or wherever they hold it, that capacity of the room to make sure we're in compliance with fire code.
Okay. So do you feel okay with leaving it the way it is and just having?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that answer, with equating it to a specials class.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, okay. So I would like to ask for a motion to accept and approve the second and final reading policies.
Sure.
Yes, trustee.
I've got a question about 2340.
Okay, yes, sir.
I guess it's really a concern. And the last policy that we just discussed kind of highlights maybe some of the slight differences between secondary and elementary school. And policy 2340, controversial issues and academic freedom, I think it is. 9.1.3 talks about how the teacher prior to notifying parents about controversial issues. 9.1.3 says that a syllabus, a course outline, a scope and sequence or unit overview, including supplemental materials used, will be provided to parents, guardians at the beginning of the course or unit. In addition, curriculum resources are available for review upon request. It may be a little more problematic for elementary schools to provide that. I mean, because elementary teachers are teaching, I don't know, 6, 7 subjects. And I guess my question is, I mean, you could potentially have a controversial issue in more than one subject. And the way I understand elementary teachers have their units is Some of them overlap and so it's not like in secondary where you have your course outlined and it's a little more regimented. You teach one subject, you teach one class, the kids move on, you have the next class that comes in. And it's a little easier to have a syllabus, a course outline, a scope and sequence, or a unit overview. But with elementary, you have, the teacher is the main teacher is teaching classes, and then you have on top of that overlaid the specials classes. So I don't have a solution to this. It's just a concern that I think that there's potentially an undue burden on elementary teachers to provide that. I absolutely believe that parents have the right to, know what's going on in their kids' classrooms. And I don't have an easy answer to this. It's just a concern.
Madam Chair and trustees, I thank you for bringing this up, this policy. I did receive public input today that the committee has not been able to hear or review. I'm just wondering if you would mind if, I know we've held this one. This policy is never going to get to play, but it might. But I'm just wondering if it should go back to the bullpen. And I would like to share the public input I received today with the policy committee, and then also have the committee once again look at, what's reasonable. And I think we're talking 9.1.3 on, the syllabus and making sure parents are aware of what's being taught. It is challenging, I would say, at the elementary level. They don't do a syllabus, they do units of study. Sometimes they might be doing more than one unit of study in a week. So it's just what is reasonable. And because what we wouldn't want to do is set our teachers up for failure. We wouldn't want parents and guardians to be upset because they didn't receive it in time or whatever it is. And the teacher is just got caught in feeling like they are notifying families, but are you all right if we table this and put it back to the policy committee? And then trustees, you're welcome to give input on that, like trustee Butler, trustee Manning.
I like this.
Let me know. Yeah, I would ask that you do allow us to, so that we have time to reflect on the public input we received today.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. So we're looking at moving back 1420 and 2340, correct? Am I understanding that? Okay. All right, so I would like to ask for motion to accept and approve the second and final reading policies of, and then go ahead and read them all.
Madam Chair, I move to approve and accept the second and final readings of policy 2205, citizenship and patriotic observances, 3345, use of restraint to replace policy 553, policy 5340, evaluation of certificated personnel, and policy 5450, vacation days.
Okay. Okay, and then, so we have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes. So I'd like to ask for a motion on policy 1420 and 2340 of what you would like to see there.
So there, I mean, we've done this a few different ways. One is just to hold it in kind of like a holding pattern and it stays there.
Well, you're mixing metaphors.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm jumping. I'm not a baseball fan. You lost me a long time ago. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes we've held them and sometimes we've completely tabled them and started over. So I guess that's.
So do we want to, or you could do it separately? I know I had heard that we wanted to move 1420 back to first reading. Or did we just want to hold?
No,
it?
Madam Chair, I would agree with 1420 because that will be it will be
Brand
revised.
new. Uh-huh.
There'll be a whole new section and it would not meet the board test.
Uh-huh.
It would not be a
Revision,
revision.
revision,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
How about we do it that way?
So,
Do it separately.
So I guess the question is, if we pulled it back for first reading, would they both be ready for first reading next month? Or,
Yes. We'll get it out to the committee.
So at least a 1420, and then Dr. French, would you say 2340 would be,
If you'll hold it another month there.
leave it there in the second and final reading?
So we just have to table both, right?
Yeah.
And you decide when it resurfaces, but we table both.
You bet, I can do that.
Okay, we can do that, all right.
Madam Chair, I move we table policy 1420, trustee expenses, policy 2340, controversial issues and academic freedom.
Okay, I have a motion. Mike Test for a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? We're good? Okay. I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes. All right, we are on, oh, yes. We are at information only. And so let's see. I gotta add this one. Expo. All right, so February 20th, 2023 is President's Day, and that is no school. And then also on February 2020 through 21 of 2023 is Day on the Hill. So this is where trustees are able to go speak to our legislators. And that's going to be the Grove Hotel, Idaho Capitol Building. If you haven't already, please make sure that you've spoken to the board clerk to make sure that you are on the roster for that. And then February 25th, 2023 is the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council Gala. And I know that, I don't know if we, maybe the board clerk will reach out to us to see.
Let me know if you would like to attend so I can reserve a table.
Okay, so February 25th, that's right around the corner. And then I know the Dance and Cheer State Championships, we had that happen, and so we're excited. We saw the video of that. We've got Wrestling State Championships February 23rd and 25th at the Idaho Ford Center. So Vice Chair Manning and Trustee Godina, former wrestlers, you gonna be there?
Actually, we're gonna wrestle.
Oh, okay. Oh, boy. I want tickets. Okay. And then don't forget, Ms. Wilson from the Caldwell High School invited us for February 28th. We gotta plug that in, the expo at the high school in the evening. She say 6 to 8, I believe, 6 to 8 on February 28th, okay? And then we've got debate state championships at Rigby High School. That's March 10th to 11th. And then we have speech state championships April 14th to the 15th, and that's at Lake City High School. And then we have our boys basketball championships March 2nd to the 4th at the Idaho Ford Center in Nampa. So that takes care of that information. And at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, I have a motion. I'd like to ask for a second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any nay? Want to stay here? No? Okay. All right. We are adjourned. Okay, thank you. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to welcome everyone to the board work session and executive session. Today is Monday, November 23rd, 2023. And I would like to call this meeting to order. And at this time, if I could have Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Trish Robertson. Here. Trustee Andrew Butler.
Here.
Trustee Manuel Bodina.
Here.
Vice Chairman Travis Manning.
Here.
And Madam Chair, Maricela Casina.
Here. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to, first of all,